78576. You can phone in. The phone number is 669 900-9128, and the webinar ID, I'll go slow so you can write this down, 878-7087-8576. You could probably also go to our website to get this information. And if you wish to access the English live stream video, it's posted at http://bit.ly/FSD innovation, INNOVATIONNYOUTUBE. We have it shown also for those who are looking at us already visually. Which one would you like me to repeat? Oh, okay. Just for the English, if you didn't get it, bit.ly/FSD innovation on YouTube. Pretty easy to remember. And we are thrilled to have all of you interested in participating and viewing our meeting. We do the business of the district. That is the business of the board, and we represent the community. Thank you. Now I am super honored to have the pledge led by Hermosa Drive School, and this will be a video presentation, and we will all wait for that to come on.
President Sugarman, the Pledge of Allegiance was led by the kindergarten students in Mrs. Vela and Mrs. Rodriguez kindergarten class from Hermosa Drive. Please enjoy.
Thank you.
Please stand.
We love kindergarten.
Excited to share the Pledge of Allegiance with you. Go ahead.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice
Everyone,
for all.
Let's give them a round of applause. They were wonderful.
And President Sugarman, we also have a song led by Mrs. Brandman and Mrs. Cardenas kindergarten co-teach class called Handwriting, Song, and Dance.
Thank you. through all the senses. It's wonderful. This is the part of a real live board meeting that we usually honor people. Unfortunately, it's hard to do during a pandemic. But I do want to announce 4 people that really deserve being honored by our board over a board meeting for all to know. We had 4 employees who were selected by Parenting Orange County Magazine as School Employees of the Year. The honor is given based on nominations of our staff from parents and community members. That makes it super special. The honorees for Fullerton School District in the top 25 teacher category of all Orange County. I want to repeat that. That's like incredible. Top 25 teacher category, Sunset Lane, Amy John. Very proud of her. And, yay. And from Fissler School, Cynthia Rounds. Yay. So, 2 of the top 25 teachers in all of Orange County come from Fullerton School District, nominated by the community and parents. Oh my God, that's fantastic. Secondly, for a top 10 school district classified employee, Sherry Williamson from Fissler School. Yay, Sherry. Now, it will not surprise anyone that in the top 5 school district leadership employees is our own Dr. Robert Pletka. All of these people are exceptional, along with most of the people who work in this district. I am proud, though, that they were selected to represent us and shine a light on the wonderful quality we have of staff people in this district. Now I'm going to ask the superintendent for his report. And again, congratulations.
This is a little bit of a day of recognition, so I also want to recognize 7 of our schools who have been named to the 2019-2020 Educational Results Partnership Honor Roll for their school achievement in student success, sponsored by the Campaign for Business and Education Excellence, CBEE, and it's a part of a national effort to identify high-performing schools. And those that were selected, Acacia, Beechwood, Fissler, Laguna Road, Parks, Fern Drive, and Rolling Hills. And I want to take a moment to also recognize a very prestigious award. It's given nationally to middle schools, some of the top middle schools, and Ladera Vista recently was awarded Schools to Watch, and they'll be you'll be hearing a little bit more about that as well. So just congratulations to all our schools and all the good work, and we look forward to honoring these schools, maybe in person at some point when it's safe to do so. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to see Trustee Thakur, would you like to say something?
Sure. Since our last meeting, I had the privilege of participating in an extracurricular reading group with some other parents at Raymond Elementary. I was thrilled that my family and I read the story of Sylvia and Aki, which has to do with school desegregation. Brown versus the Board of Education actually cited to this case, and Thurgood Marshall, who was arguing Brown versus Board of Education, cited heavily in the brief that he filed in the appeal court case of the case that desegregated schools in Orange County. So I'm very proud to see schools taking on additional education within families, within pods, within groups in honor of we're celebrating Black History Month this month. I was also very pleased to reach out to a recent appointee to the new administration in Washington, D.C., who's a former Raymond Elementary student, and we're working on having her hopefully speak to what we hope will be the largest group of students, but even a smaller group of students, just to remind our local students what's possible and what great things can come out of Fullerton Elementary School District. I also had the pleasure of watching student videos. Unfortunately, the name of the program is escaping me, but produced and starring students from Orangethorpe Elementary. I was invited by Mrs. Pamela Keller, teacher at Orangethorpe Elementary. And we watched the videos with, I watched them with my soon-to-be 10-year-old and soon-to-be 12-year-old. And the creativity and the stories, they were so funny and so well done. And you could tell that these stories were actually done with students in different locations. And the way the students were able to combine the video and tell these very original stories was very funny. So I enjoyed that. And that's all for now. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. It would be interesting to hear what appointee.
Yes, her name is Ann Carlson. She's a professor of law at UCLA, and she'll be joining the current administration's transportation department.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. It's heartwarming to hear. You know, what's that? I wanted to share with you, with my fellow board members, that I was able to sit in on a homeroom class, well, not sit in, Zoom into a homeroom class of Autumn Mendoza Montgomery this last week when she gave a presentation honoring Black History Month and talked about Shirley Chisholm. So it was very, very creative. I think that it was a school-wide instruction, which was wonderful because she put out the prompt and then all the classes were able to participate. And it's interesting to see how a whole school can band together on a topic and share their own ideas using technology, giving everyone a voice, giving everyone that chance to share. So I thank all of our schools for taking to heart what we are asking them or what they're doing. And a special shout out for Autumn for allowing me to do that. I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
I wanted to thank Robin and Helene. A few weeks back, they hosted an event via Zoom for Every Student Succeeding. It was a great event that I participated in to kind of hear the stories of one of those students at every school succeeding. So I want to thank them for putting that on. Didn't get a chance to acknowledge that at the last board meeting. And then I also had the privilege of touring both Nicholas and Maple this past week. Great programs that are going on at those two schools. It was great to see some of the kids, especially the junior high kids, still engaging on campus. They're still doing what they can on site, and then also at Maple as well. Seeing the great work that they're doing, during these challenging times. But I can only imagine all the programs when they're happening when there's no restrictions. So it was great to kind of see. It kind of just shed a light a little bit more into some of the work and all the hard work that the principals and teachers are putting into those schools. So it's kind of great to see. My hopes is to get a lot of that more information out to the general community so they can see how great all our schools are, but particularly those two right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Meyer?
I'd like to give a shout out tonight to Ed Services and your team, Julianne, for their culturally responsive teaching Black History Month. And I don't know if people know what's going on. I'm going to take a minute to read what you're doing with everyone. Ed Services is creating a support plan for sites in the area of multiculturalism, social justice, and culturally responsive teaching. We will be offering 2 principal meetings this week long with site support for teachers. A survey will go out today to principals on providing a brief snapshot of what they are most proud of with their efforts on Black History Month and culturally responsive teaching so far. We will also ask for any open times for upcoming lessons for open visitors. I think that's a really nice thing that you're doing to ask people to come in and see. I would suggest maybe if you find one that's particularly interesting to share it at the next board meeting under your comments. That would be interesting for everybody. I'd like to see that. Today I visited Ladera Vista, and it was really interesting to see how the wheels are moving forward. And everybody was on the playground, they were at lunch. It just looked like every day this happens. And it's nice to see a little normalcy in the new normal. And I commend the teachers and the staff for trying to bring the schools back to a little bit of normalcy. And congratulations, Bob, on your honor. I'll give you a bit of advice. All those certificates and those plaques that you get when you leave, donate them to somebody. Don't bring them home.
Thank you. Well, the last 2 weeks have been super busy for me, and I do want to give you a couple of highlights after I again congratulate the 7 schools that were awarded for their excellence. I believe all of our schools are doing an excellent job, but it's always nice that a few at a time get highlighted. Like Bev, I joined in Black History Month at Nicholas, and I need to commend our tech department and our curriculum department. We have the entire month, every single day is going to be Black History Month. And that's way beyond a week, right? 4 times more. And that instills greater knowledge, so that's awesome, and greater awareness. And when I was watching the Zoom at Nicholas, I was exposed to, they call it their own thing, so I know that it was created by the IT department and the ed department. They had 7 doors, and children could go investigate each door. One door had about 30 or 40 books, and some of them were read by people at this very district for students, and you could read along. Some of them were books that the students could check out and read themselves. There was a door you could go to get Black history leaders. There was a door you could go to find out about Black universities. It was really wonderful, and gave students who could go on their own time and check these things out. And I thought that that was really wonderful. Wonderful, and a ton of work for our district, and I just applaud you so much for that. Next, I wanted to mention that I started a class for CABE, and it's really very interesting. It's a class for ethnic diversity and training. It's mostly for teachers and school leaders, and I'm finding it very interesting. We have small breakout sessions to discuss topics that we've just heard a bit about and to try to come to some resolutions. It's an exciting and wonderful conference. It's 3 weeks, and I can't wait till next week. I also wanted to mention, I had the pleasure of listening to a podcast today about Booker T. Washington and a man named Julius Rosenthal, and they worked together to create over 5,000 schools for Black Americans. And Mr. Rosenthal would give less than half the money, and the community had to give the rest, so that people had buy-in to their own schools. And it was during the time around the 1912 to 1930, let's say 1912 to 1930, that this took place. 5,000 schools in the South. Some were one-room schoolhouses, some were two-room schoolhouses, some were places where teachers lived, and a couple were full junior high schools, excuse me. And the beauty is that Booker T. Washington came up with creative ideas how to do this where there weren't rural schools for Black Americans. It felt like at that time, Black Americans were not wanted to be educated because that would give them the power to do more. And Rosenthal, on one day to celebrate his birthday, gave what today would be the equivalent of $16 million to start this off and fund these programs. So that was like crazy beautiful. And these are some of the things we learn in Black History Month, that there are not only wonderful people who happen to be Black, there are also others who are trying to help them come up through history. So that's like wonderful. Again, happy Valentine's Day. And I'd like to know if there's someone here from DLAC, or do we have a video?
Yes. So on behalf of DLAC, I have the report. DLAC would like to thank the district for supporting our families and students to return back to school. The teachers are truly our greatest heroes. Thank you for your dedication and commitment. I would like to thank Ms. Rosanna Fonseca for her leadership on the Multilingual Task Force. Through the work of this task force, it is made clear that the district values the diverse cultures, backgrounds, and languages of our communities and views multilingualism as an asset. Our DLAC board will be supporting the food drive at Pacific Drive on February 12, 2021 from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. In addition, we will help distribute PPE equipment and information on vaccinations. The DLAC committee wishes you a happy Valentine's Day. Sincerely, Eglith Nunzi, DLAC president. Yes, so there will be a food drive comprised of approximately 500 boxes of donations, that eggs, milk. There is just a wonderful donation. That will be held this Friday, February 12th at Pacific Drive School from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And in addition, they will be having a donation of PPE equipment. They're like individual bags that will be distributed as well.
Thank you. Before we go on, I'm sorry to do this, but there were two things I meant to share that I forgot. I wanted to be sure people knew that March, coming up very soon, is Book Madness Month with culturally responsive books. And I'm going to share that in collaboration with ISS, Educational Services purchased one copy per site of titles on our Sora for digital access for our students for culturally responsive books. That was very expensive. Was it $3,000? $4,000 to buy one copy per school. So I want people to know that if they are wondering how can they help schools to add more diversity to our books and more diverse education for our students, they can definitely donate to supply more titles through the Fullerton School District for our libraries. So I just want to point that out. And last of all, I am so negligent not to mention that Fullerton School District earned 11 sweepstake places for speech and debate. The elementary sweepstakes, I want you to hear from hundreds of schools that participated. First place, this is a national speech and debate. First place, Laguna Road for elementary. Second place, Fissler, Fullerton School District. Fourth place, Richmond, Fullerton School District. Fifth place, Hermosa Drive, Fullerton School District. Sixth place, two schools tied Orangethorpe Elementary and Sunset Lane. Wow, right? That would have been enough, except there was also a middle school competition. And in the middle school sweepstakes, second place winner, Parks Junior High, fourth place, Fissler, sixth place, Ladera Vista Junior High, seventh place, Nicholas Junior High, 10th place, Rolling Hills. They must be glad that we only have 20 schools. I know that you're happy I shared that and that I went back. Thank you for your time. Now I wondered if the PTA has a statement for tonight.
On behalf of PTA, good evening, everyone. We again hope that everyone is safe and healthy. We would also like to say a belated happy birthday to Dr. Pleka. PTA is rolling right along with some normal activities and events. Each of our units are getting ready to hold elections for their next year's board, including us at council. We are also looking forward to participating virtually in Sacramento Safari in a couple of weeks. This is a great couple of days to hear from our legislatures about what bills are being introduced that may help students and families, as well as giving us a chance to speak to our representatives about what is important to our students here in Fullerton. Fullerton Council also just announced our Honorary Service Award recipients for the 1920 year to two very deserving ladies, Shannon Bowserman, the office manager at Laguna Road Elementary, and Rosie Cabral, the PTSA president at Buena Park High School. Both Shannon and Rosie have gone above and beyond for their school communities, positively impacting the lives of students, families, and staff. Thank you, ladies, for all that you do to continue doing for everyone. We're also excited to announce that we have two Fullerton students who are moving on to state level for the PTA Reflections Art Contest. Chloe B. from Fern Drive Elementary in music composition, and Savannah C. from Rolling Hills Elementary in dance choreography. Fullerton Council is very proud of these amazing young artists. Thank you, and hopefully we'll all see each other very soon. Wendy Reed, Christy Carter, and the Fullerton Council PTA Board. Will do.
Dr. Pleka, President Sugarman, members of the board, cabinet, and community. My name is Joanne DeClaro, and I'm speaking on behalf of CSEA. So January was a trying month for Classified. Without the vast majority of teachers on campus, Classified stepped up to fill the gaps and serve our students. Would we have preferred to remain safely at home? Of course. However, we hear the outpour from parents at every board meeting asking us to remain open for the sake of our students. We know the mental, social, and emotional well-being of students is important and is the most rewarding part of our jobs. We are willing to accept this risk of exposure by continuing to come in person during these difficult times, but we also request. We ask that all staff and students remain home if anyone in your household is experiencing any COVID-like symptoms. Please do your part to protect our health and well-being, and we will continue to do all we can to support student learning, growth, and success. We thank you for your diligence in protecting us. I will now continue my recent tradition of updating you on various things Classified employees have been doing to support our FSD community with a focus on nutrition services. So our Nutrition Services Department has maintained their focus on providing proper, accessible, and free meals to all students. Since the shutdown in March last year, we have served over 1 million meals.
Could you say that one more time?
They 1 million meals to children. Without having to worry about on learning and developing skills. Our nutrition services staff were outside with their canopies, distributing not just lunches, but all meals to students in the cold, rain, heat, through smoke and ash from surrounding fires and high wind advisories. They endured it all to maintain the curbside pickup convenience for families. They have grown from serving only breakfast and lunch during the weekdays to now serving breakfast, snack, lunch, and supper weekdays, weekends, and especially including holidays. During winter break, our nutrition services wanted to make sure kids were not hungry. On top of the regular meals they serve daily, they worked hard to source, assemble, and distribute thousands of food boxes with 15 pounds worth of food for each and every child to sustain them through the break. They had created multiple day meal kits with delicious and nutritious meals for each day, including weekends, with nutrition education recipes for the meal kits that were easy for parents to prepare. Our nutrition services department has risen to the challenges brought on by COVID. They have been anything but idle. Aside from all of the modifications, constant required computer, then they were free again, and then meal kits and grab and go, resilient while adapting to setbacks. For this alone, they deserve all of our praise and commendations. But in true FSD spirit, they implemented a new cloud-based accounting software program. They had to train, install more data, and create new procedures to increase their performance and productivity. Our nutrition services team has also been innovative in creating new opportunities. They were able to acquire a grant to provide additional fresh fruit and vegetables daily to our students. They helped maximize district funding by creating an incentive for families to create meal applications. They distributed school supply kits containing markers, crayons, glue sticks, pencils, and watercolors to approximately 4,000 families who completed their applications. They even started creating videos on how to prepare the meals. New in last weekend's food boxes were flyers with QR codes so parents could scan them and watch how-to videos to prepare the meal kits that they had. And just as a sneak peek into their next venture, they're working on acquiring a grant to help with getting the ingredients for and creating new Korean-inspired recipes. There's just no stopping them.
Wow.
All of Classified have our eyes and our hearts focused on the health and well-being of our students, and we continue to work in person and hands-on to aid our staff, our students, and our community. And we stand proud knowing we are essential to the success of this district. We thank you for your time.
Thank you. Before you leave, come back. Please give your entire newly elected board under Al LaQuesta's leadership and yourself congratulations from the board for their election, and that we look forward to continuing a wonderful relationship. Thank you. Wow, what wonderful things. FETA, I see President Jacobs right here.
Okay, I'm going to speak up loud because I've already heard that it's hard to hear for those at home, so I'm going to speak loud. And before I get started, I want to do some recognition myself. So I would like to recognize someone that we all love, admire, and really appreciate. And we appreciate her because she keeps these board meetings running smoothly. Carmen Cerna is that person.
Oh, yes.
Especially over this past year with the demands of COVID and the flexibility and changing of our meetings, and dealing with lengthy board meetings with difficult resolutions, and reading hundreds of public comments aloud flawlessly without going hoarse. Many mentioned what a wonderful job, including me, and I've even said you deserve a trophy. So, Carmen, here's your trophy. All right. So come on up here, Carmen.
I hope someone's going to take a picture.
On behalf of FETA, we'd like to present this trophy to Carmen Cerna. And it reads, FETA recognizes your professionalism and patience while managing FSD board meetings. That's as diplomatic as I could get.
Yay!
You truly deserve a trophy. You really do. Hold it. All right. And I'm holding my breath.
Thank you.
No, you really have done a wonderful job.
And I am smiling.
So thank you very much, Carmen. You are truly appreciated, and sometimes you keep everyone on task, making sure that we remember what to do and where did we get a second and did we not get a second, and so thank you. It really means a lot.
And
I
Mark,
also-
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So also too, I wanted to also, I know that President Sugarman also recognized many people for, I think it's the Orange County Parenting Hero nominations and winners and such. And I know that Lauren Johnson from Rolling Hills and Gina Glaudini from Richmond, I think, were nominated. I know our own Pamela Zanell was nominated too from Hermosa, Cynthia Rounds, of course, and Amy Jan from Sunset Lane. Don't think I missed anyone else who was like nominated too, but congratulations to everybody on that. So I'm going to go ahead and start off and just say, based on our board decision of last time teachers have returned to greet students in their classrooms last week. As president and principal communicator to our teachers, I can also say that most teachers are frustrated and confused we've used to return to in-person instruction. As you all know, last summer we worked collaboratively to plan and provide recommended safety protocols along with a structured return plan for in-person instruction on October 13th. And the main rationale to return was the implementation of our comprehensive safety protocols while following the state's colored tier framework and such. And at that time, we were in the red tier, and we were expected to move over to the less restrictive orange tier. This was ages ago. Cases were favorably trending downwards. Okay. We also understood that once we reopened, we would follow the 5-5-25 rule, meaning that if 5% of a classroom was positive, we would shut it down, go quarantine, and do DL. If 5% of a school was positive, we would shut it down when we quarantine and go to DL. And if 25% of the district was infected, we'd shut the district down and such. And we knew that, we understood that. Things were trending in a positive direction, and we felt to a certain degree that we were kind of in control. I know we felt good. But as the pandemic evolved, as well as changing and sometimes conflicting recommendations from the state and the CDC, many teachers began to feel less confident and not in control of what we put in place. Then after Thanksgiving, as FETA expected, COVID cases did explode, and the data and structure that we kind of agreed upon really no longer was usable. And though our FSD dashboard was helpful, we feel that it did not fully represent the situation as it included all students in the calculation, those staying at home and those attending a school, which rather diluted site statistics and made it more difficult to follow. COVID case counts went from 5 or 6 new daily cases per 100,000 to over 89, which is like a spike of 2,000%. So based on our initial understanding of the situation and our communication to our members regarding our return, teachers in many of our community questioned whether conditions were still appropriate to continue in-person instruction. And I'm saying all this just to give you a rationale too of kind of perspective too of what we're going. Because we're all working through this together, but I think it's important to kind of give our rationale on where we see it, because many people think that, we don't want to work or we want to just skirt our responsibilities, but that's not the case. And so I just want to clarify the situation. So currently, according to the Orange County Health OCHA website, we are at 39 new daily case counts per 100,000, which is still nearly like 8 times above where we were when we were in the red tier back in October. So, I mean, the concern is still there, and like, wow, what's going on? This is a really different situation than when we came back. So I think that's where a lot of people are questioning me, questioning you, questioning everybody, why. So, and positivity rates are still nearly double, at nearly 11%, compared that when we're at the red tier. Yet we've been asked to return, and we have. Okay? Though teachers are often referred to as essential workers, teachers have yet to be offered the vaccine. Many teachers have registered on the Othina website, only to be told to wait, or not even to receive a response, like me. The district has communicated that they hope to provide vaccines, yet still we don't have firm dates, and we don't know when those will be available. Vulnerable teachers, in addition, that have current medical accommodations and need to work from home, have been informed by the district that they'll need to return by March 15th. And what is frustrating with that is, though we're hopeful that there will be a vaccine, there's still no guarantee that vaccines will be even available to those teachers at that time. We understand that some studies are under certain circumstances show that transmission at school is low. However, there are also documented cases that show transmission has occurred at schools. And even if we do accept that transmission is low, that means there is some transmission, and someone will contract the virus. So who will they be? And that's the question. Even though it's low, there'll be some. So who's that going to be? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be your colleague? We don't know. And so for many, it feels like we're taking unnecessary risk before protective vaccines can be provided. So with the shifting information from the CDC, the state, the county, from FSD, and a huge spike in positive cases and an elusive vaccine, any reasonable person would be frustrated and challenged to maintain confidence in a safe return to school. We hope you understand our position. And it must be said that this is a challenging time for FETA and FSD, although we know we will weather this storm and be stronger for it. And then on a final note, FETA would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our custodians, our office staff, our kitchen support people, our instructional assistants, our incredible substitutes, and all the other classified staff, as well as our many administrators who give up their personal lives to run their schools and to make this district run smoothly. So without these wonderful people, we could not do our job well. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, and we are certainly hearing the voices of our teachers and appreciate your comments. I'd like to now ask if FESMA has a report.
Good evening. I'll try and talk loud too so that we can help with those at home. But I'm pleased to be here tonight and also want to congratulate all of the honorees through the OC Parenting Magazine, as well as our schools that were recognized tonight. I know that when we get recognition, we need to take that and be proud of it. So I'm very proud for all of our school teams, as well as our individual teachers and staff who are being recognized as well. In addition, I want to say thank you to our board for attending our Every Student Succeeding event. It was definitely done in a different format this year, virtually, new for us. And so I want to thank Colleen Morris, who was my counter narrator and helped to read some of the stories about our students at each of the school sites. So thank you to her. And thank you for attending, and President Sugarman for doing a little part in that as well, and encouraging our students to move forward. I'm honored to announce that our student that was recognized from Richmond will be moving on to the Region 17. She's the student who is their student council president and has overcome a lot of challenges, but has succeeded and does it with a smile. So we're happy to have her represent Fullerton School District, and we'll share more information with you regarding that event as well too. And then we too, just like everybody in California, are waiting for news on the vaccine. We are also understand that the state and the healthcare agencies have control of that, and we are recipients of that information. We know that, thank you, Dr. Hammett, for working hard to communicate with us regarding any information on that, but we know it's out of the school district's hands and that it is 100% controlled with the county and through the state. So we are anxiously waiting for more news and information to see when we can send our staff to be vaccinated. So we will hold on to any news that comes down, and we will keep our ears to whatever the county Office of Health is sharing with us, as well as our state governor. And we hope that you all have a good rest of your February, and we'll see you in the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate those comments. And we really enjoyed participating in your event and learning about the success of children who try very hard and overcome difficulties. Next, Carmen, Queen of Comments, you are on.
I would be happy to. My name is Carmen Cerna, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent. I will be reading the public comments that were received by the deadline of 2:30 p.m. today. All public comments can be found at the Fullerton School District website at www.fullertonsd.org. Public comments are usually posted immediately, pretty close to 2:30, so the public is very welcome to view those comments anytime after 2:30. The public comments do not reflect the opinion of the district and are solely verbatim and or summarized as needed. The board meeting follows rules of decorum per board bylaw 9323. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. The total time allowed for public comments shall be 30 minutes. Public comments about an item that is not on the agenda will be heard at the time the agenda item is considered by the board. For this evening, we have 2 public comments. Comment number 1, Chair Sugarman and Board of Trustees, it's time the ridiculousness stops and students are in classrooms with their teachers 5 days a week, if that's what parents choose. My son is in 6th grade class where only 4 students out of 30 plus have chosen to be back on campus. Only 2 of those students are allowed to be in the classroom at a time, only 2 students. While his classroom can accommodate up to 17 students at one time with COVID protocols, only 2 students get to be with their teacher each day. The teachers union won't agree to let students in these situations in their classroom 5 days a week, and that is absolutely unacceptable. All the time and money the district has spent ensuring a safe environment, and 4 kids can't be in a classroom at once. There is no COVID reason for this. The only reason is the teachers union is trying to extract more benefits from the taxpayers in order to agree to let these students be with their teachers 5 days a week. This district has already lost 700 students this year, and you're losing mine next year. I'll never again let my children be a bargaining chip for a public employee union. 6th grade parents also need to hear from this board that their 6th grade students will have an in-person graduation this year. If the President of the United States can have a safe, socially distanced, in-person event, our children deserve no less. Show some common sense, please, and allow these students this milestone event. Sincerely, Jennifer Fitzgerald, Sunset Lane parent. Comment 2, I am a Fullerton community member, local business owner, and most importantly, a parent of a child in the district. Our daughter attends Hermosa Elementary School and is in the co-taught kindergarten class with Mrs. Brandman and Mrs. Cardenas. The co-taught class has been such a bright spot in a challenging year. The teachers and staff at Hermosa have stepped up and delivered. We are so appreciative of the co-taught class as our daughter has made huge strides this school year. The co-taught class at Hermosa is an exemplary program that should be celebrated. I, along with many other parents, look forward to the next coming years at Hermosa Elementary. Thank you, Ollie Lynch.
Thank you, Carmen, and thank you to the parents who took the time to write to us. Of course, we take note of what they say, and some of the issues might be addressed in the future. Thank you. Whoops, let me go back to my third agenda. 1 minute. Next, we have approval of 3 sets of minutes. The board can decide if they would like to do them all in one or 3 separate. The first set of minutes for our January 26th board meeting regards the board's role and next steps regarding racial equity. The meeting was led by Dr. Nava Miharis, and if anybody wants to hear what went on or understand what we did and what the district is doing on this topic, all they need to do is look at the January 26th board minutes, which were so fabulously written by Carmen Serna. The second set of minutes is for a special board meeting on January 16th. It was via Zoom, and it was to approve the FETA MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, for distance learning until January 29th, with opening on February 1st. It was a quick meeting because that was our only topic. The third set of minutes is from our regular board meeting of January 12th. I would accept a motion to do one at a time or three at a time, whatever is the preference of the board.
I move that we consider January 12th by itself, and then the 16th and the 26th together.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Is there anyone who wants to comment on the minutes of January 12th?
I won't be voting on those because I was not present.
You were not present, right. Of the 4 board members who were present,
No.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And 1 abstention. Now I'm looking for a motion for the January 26th and the January 16th special board meetings.
I move to approve the minutes of the January 16th and the January 26th meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on those?
Nicely done.
Pardon?
Nicely done.
Thank you. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much. Now we move to approve the order of our agenda. Is there anybody who'd like to change the order of the agenda? Yay, no changes. Thank you, board. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as it stands?
I move to accept the agenda as is.
Second? Thank you, Trustee Takor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0, thank you. Consent agenda. Is there anybody who'd like to bring something to our attention from the consent agenda? And just to remind those who are listening, a consent agenda is an agenda of things that are the normal business of the board and are used to make sure that the business of the district can go forward, such as paying bills and hiring employees. Is there anybody who wants to point anything out to us or anything?
I would.
Beth?
Yeah. I wanted to comment on 1V as in Victor, our contract with Nava Consulting. If anyone read the minutes from that meeting, I think that they would see that that Danielle is a very thorough and professional facilitator, and I'm thrilled to be able to have this on our agenda to start our work in this very, very important subject. So I wanted to comment on that. I also wanted to dovetail onto that. Woodcrest 1W is looking for 2 more additional training dates for their work in that same area, and I commend them on that. And I'm hoping that this starts something and continues it because this is very important, I know, to this board, and I am very excited and looking forward to seeing more of this.
Thank you. Anybody else? I also wanted to point out consent item D, which is our drone class. As we are in a time of COVID, people might think that the district is frozen and is just thinking about protection. But we aren't. We're moving ahead, and one of the things is this great class for drone instruction for those who are interested, and I'm really proud of our district for looking to continue across the board for our students. Do I have a motion to accept our consent items?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. I appreciate the attention given. By the way, for those who are listening in, maybe for the first time, when board members have questions regarding consent items, they take some time and phone the assistant superintendent under whom the item falls and discusses it with them prior to the board meeting so that they can have all of their questions answered. Although sometimes they also ask questions from the board table, and that is also totally acceptable. Just wanted to make sure people knew that this was not the first time we're looking at these items. Next, we have some administrative report on multicultural pathways, and we'll start with Dr. Lee. Good evening, Dr. Lee.
Good evening, President Sugarman, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Bob Pleka, and fellow executive cabinet members. Tonight we have a presentation for you on behalf of the Multilingual Pathways Task Force in Educational Services that include 2 recommendations that will impact our dual immersion program here at the Fullerton School District. Presenting for us tonight is Rosanna Fonseca, who is our Program Coordinator of Educational Services, and I would like to invite her to the podium at this time.
Good evening, President Sugarman, school board members, Executive Cabinet, Superintendent Dr. Pletka, and all families present and listening. Tonight, I will be presenting on the Multilingual Pathways Task Force.
The presentation is also on our district website if somebody would like to access on our Fullerton School District website, and also being live streamed live. So there's two different ways that the public can access.
Thank you for that clarification.
Wonderful. Tonight, we will review the work of the Multilingual Task Force and share 2 recommendations. The Multilingual Task Force has consisted of parents, teachers, administrators, and community members. We have held 5 meetings from fall 2019 to December 2020 and have 3 meetings from January to April 2021. The task force collaborates on ways to expand and promote language opportunities for students to increase cultural awareness and appreciation while promoting bilingualism and biliteracy. Some topics of discussion were junior high electives at all junior highs and K-8s, which resulted in the addition of several Korean electives and an addition of a Spanish heritage and Spanish theater class at Nicholas Junior High. Another group explored the various types of language program options, such as after-school programs. The pathways for our current Spanish dual language program to junior highs was another subject of consideration, as well as the expansion of our dual language program into additional target languages, which will be a topic we will present on tonight. At the June 9th, 2020 board meeting, the Educational Services Department presented to the board about junior high school electives, dual language expansion and recruitment efforts, and reported on the results of the junior high DLA parent survey. The first recommendation tonight is to establish a pathway for our dual language Spanish programs at the junior high level at both Ladera Vista Junior High School of the Arts and Nicholas Junior High. Our current dual language programs are at Raymond, which are kinder through 4th grade currently, and at Pacific Drive, which has kinder through 2nd grade. During the 21-22 school year, the dual language programs at Raymond will add 2 5th grade classes, and Pacific Drive will expand to add a TK and a 3rd grade class. In addition to our typical recruitment practices, we are personally reaching out to every single pre-K family in our district to let them know about this opportunity And we are also creating a commercial geared towards our Spanish speakers through social media so our families can know about the benefits of this program. So we're going to review, which we did present at the June board meeting, but we will review what were the results of the survey. So during the spring of 2020, 270 families were surveyed, and we received 241 responses. 78% of Pacific Drive families and 92% of Raymond families. So we're going to look at the overall data as well as the individual site data. So the first question is, the following is important to me. Location. So, and it was a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being most important. And you can see that 47.3% overall said that location was important to them. Additionally, at Pacific Drive and at Nicholas, they both are at the 4 and 5. The next question is distance from home. Again, you can see a very large number chose 4 and 5. Very important, or most important and very important. And again, Pacific Drive is at 58% and 24%, and Raymond's 48% and 27%. So very similar. The next one, specific junior high. 59.8% chose 5, but when you look at Pacific Drive, 64% was most important, and 71% at Raymond. The next question was, the following is important to me, that my child has a choice to attend either Ladera Vista or Nicholas. This was the highest percentage. 72.6% of parents wanted choice. And this was very high, 79% at Pacific Drive and 81% at Raymond. So when you look at the data, when they chose between the two junior highs, you see 75.5% of overall chose Ladera Vista. However, when you look specifically at each individual school, the students whose homeschool, who attended Pacific Drive, chose Nicholas. And Raymond, 89% of those families chose Ladera Vista.
I have a question for you on
Sure.
that one. Before parents or families were given this questionnaire, were they told the courses that are being offered at these two schools for Spanish language?
The courses have not been chosen yet. That is yet to be determined, and we will
No,
be.
what I meant was, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
What I meant was, at Nicholas, they have a drama class, I believe, in Spanish. Is that right? They have a drama class, and they also have, what was the second class I'm trying to? Heritage class, which is not offered at LV. And I'm wondering if before people voted what school they wanted their children to attend, if they were aware of these special courses being offered at one school or another.
At that point, the classes, we did the survey before the classes began in the fall.
Oh, I see. Okay. Because I think that that's an important consideration that needs to go into the data.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that is important to note is our students going into the dual language program will be entering in the 2023-2024 school year.
Yes.
And we are not asking our parents to make a choice now. We just want to give them the choice to go to attend both schools. And we are definitely developing the pathway we're going to be looking at some of the electives that are going to be available. And really, we are looking to make a very robust program at both sites.
Good. But I know sometimes you get a thought in your mind, and you've checked the box, and now you move on. And when time passes, you don't necessarily give it as much investigation. And that was my concern. Okay. But both schools are great, I'm not worried, and I'm sure they'll, in a couple years from now, they'll have great options. I just cared about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and that is what we'll be working on a multilingual task force. We'll definitely be developing with the parents what are the best options for our students.
So here's a page that tells.
So here is a sample junior high classes taught in Spanish. So I did some research, and on this slide you can see a sample junior high Spanish classes. So this sample is based on 13 schools. I gathered information from every junior high dual language program in the county, and I reviewed the classes offered in 9 different districts. So 11 junior highs had 2 electives. 2 junior highs had 3 electives, which were in Anaheim Union School District. Of all 13 schools, Spanish language arts was taught in Spanish, and history social science. 1 school had math as an elective, and 2 had science as an elective. So there are a variety of options. Obviously, Spanish language arts and culture would be one of them. And the other ones, we are looking to have a core class, so history, social science, and we could alternate the, history 1 year, science another, and so that would be some of the things that we could look into.
Thank you.
So recommendation number 2, the second recommendation to the board is to approve the expansion of the Fullerton Dual Language Academies to include the Korean language.
I think I'd like to hear the entire presentation so that we get the whole perspective globally of the program, and then vote separately.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. The second recommendation will be to approve the expansion of Fullerton School District Dual Language Academy to include the Korean language. The Multilingual Pathways Task Force is recommending Korean as the next target language for the dual language program based on data collected in the spring of 2019. Additionally, this data was reconfirmed again during 1920 and 2021 with our multilingual task force. So, based on the data collected during the spring 2019 survey, the data on this slide shows the results of a survey question that asked which language other than Spanish families preferred for their children to learn. You can see that the large percentage, 46.2% of those who answered indicated Korean. Additionally, this slide shows us the most current district data on language groups. So this is not demographics, this is the languages spoken in our district. So the data shows Korean as the second largest group that speak Korean in the home. The community and we desire to bridge the native through the generations through culture and language. So we have Spanish speakers, that's a very large number, and then next we have Koreans, and really that is something that we would like to bridge the generations. We want our students to be able to share the language and culture with their grandparents, and not sometimes you have those families that between generations they can't speak to one another. A third point is the DLA model has to have a ratio of about 50-50 ideally. So two-way programs include approximately equal numbers of students who are monolingual or dominant in one language, and students who have the other language, the other target language. So in order for these types of programs, dual language programs, to continue, you have to have at least a minimum of 30% native speakers. And so in order to recruit enough students who continue to be a dual language program, we also have to have the demographics and the language support, which we do for Korean in our district. And additionally, Korean is one of the national security languages, which opens doors for 21st century jobs. So what are some things to be determined with moving forward with Korean? We would still have to do site visitations of examining program models. We would need to look at curriculum, what school would have the location space in order to grow the program, commitment and support from the community as well as the staff. And we would need to determine what would be the best program model. Right now our Spanish is 90-10, but sometimes Asian languages there is more of a 50-50 model. We would have to have curriculum selection, and we would have to have staffing. So you get to this point, we have the two recommendations: approve a dual pathway to Nicholas Junior High School and Ladera Vista Junior High School of the Arts, and approve a Korean dual language academy for expansion. And as Dr. Pleka mentioned, if more discussion time is needed, we really do have the time to really dig deeper and answer any questions you have, or wait whenever you're ready. And with that, thank you. And any questions?
Great presentation, very clear, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone on the board have questions?
I have some questions.
Mr. Kaur?
Yeah, thank you so much for preparing this. I'm very excited about expanding DLA and giving parents a choice. Is there a consideration of minimum requirements, or are we fairly certain that enough parents from Pacific Drive most likely will select Nicholas to make the program viable there, and that enough parents from Raymond will select Ladera Vista, or vice versa?
Mm-hmm.
But is there a possibility that not enough students will choose one site and create logistical problems?
Well, I think we're looking at a variety of different things. The research also shows that in junior high schools, one of the things that we're very excited about is being able to choose late entry. So students who are native speakers who can test into the program and make it and build these classes. So currently at Nicholas, as you know, there's heritage language class and there's a theater class, and we don't have a dual language program yet there. So there's already classes there building with our native speakers. So when the dual language comes in, they're ready just to merge right in.
Right. To Trustee Sugarman's point, I think each site is going to be meeting with DLA parents and sort of explaining what the various programs are that they're going to be highlighting and trying to let parents know, right?
Absolutely.
Why each campus might be better for their family.
Yes, we will have, just like we currently do, we have many, many parent meetings. We will continue to have the parent meetings to inform the parents of both pathways.
Just a comment, really, not a question. I think it makes sense that we would choose Korean as a second language. Like you said, I think if you don't have the seed of the 50-50 students, because so much learning happens between students,
right.
Not just from the teacher, that it's necessary. Were parents given a choice of Mandarin and Cantonese? I thought it was funny that we have Mandarin split with Chinese.
They were able to choose whichever language. There wasn't a choice. They actually got to write it in.
That makes sense.
So that's.
But the community did. Maybe if we do a third language one day and we had enough native speakers, it's more like 15.4% for some language from China. To Trustee Sugarman's point, or rather, no, I think we already covered that one about letting the families know. If we're talking about Spanish language and culture, teaching science in another language to students in Fullerton School District, world history in another language, I guess my hope is that this becomes sort of a foundation for greater thought about ethnic studies at the junior high level here in Fullerton School District. Was that brought up by any parents? Was that any of the responses from the community that it encompassed that type of an idea?
So I don't know if it's in this study, but for sure the listing responding to our ethnic study at the junior high was brought up many times.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a great start. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess since I'm speaking now, I would like to finalize the DLA junior high track at the next meeting, if that's okay, rather than tonight. But I would be comfortable moving forward on adding the expansion of Korean tonight.
Thank you.
I also had some questions. Thank you for this information, very informative. A couple clarifications for me. One right now, as we're looking at our sixth graders coming up to promote from sixth grade on to seventh grade, are we going to provide them with like a biliteracy seal or something on their certificates? The same thing with once they promote from junior high into high school. I know high school you can graduate with a seal of biliteracy,
Yes.
but what will we do differently or extra for our students?
The seal of biliteracy is only at the high school level. However, there are, through Orange County, there are several awards that we are able to give our students graduating from 6th to 7th and 8th to 9th. But our dual language program's at 4th grade right now, so
Right.
we still have a couple of years.
Right,
to,
okay. I'd love to make sure we do that.
Yes.
I really like the idea about prepping our students that are at Nicholas right now to go into that path. I think that's ideal. Oh, yeah, I just went blank. There was something else to that.
What do you feel about?
I'll come back.
The Korean.
I'm not done with this one yet.
Oh,
No,
excuse me.
That's okay. That's all right. I like the Korean. The cost, so going into two separate junior high schools, I like the question that you had about is there a minimum that we need at a school in order to provide a program? Because I think that's very important. You know, if I only have 7 kids at one school and, 100 at another, that's going to be a concern. If we are going to wait until next meeting to talk about the junior high approval, I would like to just see costs that go along with this. There's obviously costs to do this. If we're doing it at 2 schools, does that double the cost, or is it just going to spread out the cost? I would like to just kind of see. I don't need that right now, but I would like to see that information come prior to that meeting.
Okay.
Just to get a general idea of that, since we'll go with 2 schools. The retention rate, do we have a retention rate yet for going from, I know that we have it within our own school district, but as you're researching other schools and looking at their junior highs, is there a best, or something that's published there that says usually you keep X amount of students from 6th grade or whatever their middle schools are, because I know that some of us schools are 6th through 8th, but the retention.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
absolutely, yeah. I will definitely look into that and get that to you.
All right. I think that's, now that I'm done. And then the Korean language, I think that's the best, that's the most logical. I think Chinese is also something that I was really interested in seeing, but we don't have that base to be able to use that. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. As always, you two presented excellent questions. Thank you. Not to take credit away from this side of the room. Go ahead. They probably asked what you wanted to ask. They did. Trustee Meyer?
Not to ask you to look into the crystal ball, but what is staffing like for junior high in a dual language around in the community, the county and the state? Are there a lot of teachers out there who are ready to do this at the junior high?
I think Fullerton's a district that everyone wants to come to. So, I mean, just every year we get about 40 teachers that apply for our positions. It really is, many school districts struggle to get teachers. That's not something that we've seen in when we've been hiring.
And then to go on to the Korean, is that something that there's a pool of teachers with that?
Cal State Fullerton is kind of a hub for Korean, and we do actually have a couple of people that we know that are, you know, good teachers out there that we have our eye on.
Every year, we actually have a pretty good pool of teachers that don't necessarily apply to the work that they'll have, but that speak Korean in particular, and it's an area, obviously, of strength and a place also where our Korean families here in Northwood locate, and so it's not a surprise that a lot of our teachers that eventually come back to our program went to our schools, spoke Korean and been part of their family, and so come back. So you've actually seen, I'll say, a plethora of teachers that apply to speak Korean.
Okay.
And this adds to our diversity.
Right, and because teaching a dual language is different than just being able to translate or speak the language. So you want to have a rich pool for that. And when we go to CSBA, there's a lot of buzzwords. When we started this discussion probably 5 or 6 years ago of dual language, the big hot ticket was Mandarin Chinese. And is there a lot throughout the state or the country of Korean more than Mandarin Chinese? I mean, that was the big buzzword when we were.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of thoughts.
Yeah, we have districts, local districts that have done Korean programs. One in Anaheim, there's one in Montana, and we're also trying to visit pre-COVID. They're still very open to having us. We've also established a network in relationship with International Korean Educators Network, which does the curriculum for a lot of our Korean programs. So they also have
Actually, I can really hear.
As mentioned, established network with the International Korean Educators Network. So we have an established relationship where they help us attract qualified educators who have B-clad credentials and who are able to specifically focus on the Korean immersion programs and those who have experience. But we have more districts around us locally that begun Korean immersion programs that we can go visit and we can also learn from as well.
Okay, thank you. And I think you mentioned this, but clarify to me, if we go into the Korean dual language, will it be 50-50 like the Raymond and Pacific?
Pacific Drive and Raymond are 90-10 models.
Okay.
And we would still need to look at the research related to Asian languages and what is the best model for that particular type of dual language program. So we haven't determined that yet.
Okay, thank you.
Leonel?
Yeah, so I want to thank you for the presentation. I had some questions. It was great. I think I'm understanding kind of all the work that happened with the outreach to the parents. Just wanted to make sure that we were able to collect qualitative data from this. So it looks like this was all quantitative with the numbers, right? So what was the kind of the sense during these meetings of, Wyla, Dervis, and Nicholas, and how do they see kind of this enrolling or developing into the program that the families that are currently enrolled in dual language?
So qualitative, just, from, I think that, even quantitative, as you look at there, the parents, they tend to, if they're from Pacific Drive, they really are committed to going to Nicholas. There are, and many times they're the families who have children already at Nicholas and are, at Pacific Drive and are at Nicholas. So there is some commitment there. I think and sometimes there are parents who go to Raymond, whose home school is Raymond, who they live in the neighborhood. So there really are those two components, really the neighborhood that you live in, it's where you would like to go to school. And so that's why we want to give parents and families the option to be able to go to school where their children attend, where they live, and have that, have that as well as the program.
So I think I would like to see more of that quantitative data probably at the next. So I think I also kind of want to give some time to the community, kind of express kind of their comments on this as well too. So I want to give us some time, not just address it right now. And then definitely wanted to see what those options for like the 3 electives that you kind of talked about. Again, I think providing those options at both schools potentially, and just making sure again that the community really does support what that looks like at the junior highs. And then the last thing is
Korean dual language.
what was that?
Korean dual language.
Oh, no, so one more thing on getting new students enrolled into that. So just would like to get some more information on what that would look like moving forward. So if they're not part of the dual language program now, how do they integrate into that at the 2 schools? And then the last question is, would these be going online simultaneously, both at La Dervis and Nicholas potentially?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
We would go on simultaneously.
Oh, yes.
I think we need to commit to doing them simultaneously. And even though Pacific Drive is, in a sense, 1 grade level behind, I think we need to commit to offering both Ladera and Nicholas the first year. We really are going to say we're going to give parents a choice to do that.
Perfect.
And when we started the program, we kind of were all in, and we haven't said, well, kind of depending on how many people we want to commit to it, and we're asking the board to really commit to both programs. So to answer the question, yes, we would bring both schools online at the same time.
Perfect.
Might not have as many attendees at Nicholas if you're pulling from Pack Drive is 1 year behind, they would not officially start till the following year. But you would still have some that might go to Raymond that will go to Nicholas if we're offering both, and then the ability to have those students test in.
Yes, because if parents from Raymond want to send their kids
Right.
to Nicholas, and
They
we
should
don't
have the
offer it,
opportunity. Right.
then, as you all know, and you've had kids and all those sorts of things, they don't want to leave their friends. They don't want to go to junior high for 1 year and then say, okay, now we're going to put you in Nicholas. So
That's
we
not
want to
good for
offer
them.
both choices from the beginning.
Yeah. So that was that was kind of what I wanted to see is how those kids test in, because they won't be going through the program currently. So for some of those new students, so I would like kind of some more information on that, and then definitely with the Korean dual language, definitely want to with the high percentage, I would also kind of love to see what are that 46% actually speak the native language, and then did we do kind of what that examining and program models and curriculums? How do we do that, or have we done that to ensure that this is kind of the it sounds like it's the best fit, but just want to make sure that that's kind of what we're looking to do. But other than that,
May I ask one more question? I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that as our students are going into the junior high and we have these various classes that will be offered in the other language, the students also have the opportunity to take other classes and follow the career paths or the paths that are there. So as I am a parent and I'm deciding which school I want to go to, I may look at those other opportunities. Is it the school, look at Ladera Vista's choices as opposed to Nicholas's choices, and that might be something that as a parent, so reminding our parents that even though their students will be in the DLA track, that they still have the opportunity to attend those other classes on campus and to look at those when they're making their choices.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's healthier. So I have a couple questions. First of all, thank you guys. It sounds like we are going to ask you to give us some communiques over the
Great.
next few weeks
Mhm.
and bring the topic back at the next board meeting. Is that how everybody feels comfortable?
I do.
Everybody's comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm addressing the dual language Spanish for junior highs right now. And for that, I want to know, you brought it up, but I'm not sure everybody got what you were saying. Can students who are not in our K-6 program test into it in the 7th grade?
Because we have a heritage language programs, we have students who are native Spanish speakers, so they could get into the Spanish or Spanish speakers language and culture class.
Okay.
So we could, so even currently, our dual language program isn't at Nicholas, but they have a class for Spanish speakers.
Okay, so students may need to catch up maybe on the writing, because they may not have had formal Spanish writing, but they could join the program in the 7th grade. To the point that Trustee Berryman made about cost and how many children you need to have to create a true program at a school, I'm wondering, because of the lag of a year at Pack Drive, if it might be better for this program, similar to places that have a school within a school, to create I'm not telling you to do this, by the way, just something to think about or look at, to have dual language immersion 6th, 7th, and 8th in junior high. Many schools have middle schools, and perhaps having dual language immersion in the junior high would help with those enrollment numbers and help with the pathways. Maybe not, but it might be something to consider, because in program, well, I don't have to tell you about it. You guys would work it out if you thought that was reasonable. And so just a suggestion regarding Korean language, which I am super enthusiastic about. I'm just going to put that out there. Our district provided a visitation to the Korean Cultural Center group about, what is it, a year and a half ago? About a year and a half ago. They were so enthusiastic about volunteering support for our program, and I don't know at this time if they could give some grant toward it to help create it. They are? $30,000 is a nice, layer to start looking into a program. And so the partnership would be very helpful in jumping into an area that is different, new to us than Spanish language. And so I hope when we look at the data that we'll get in the next few weeks, that type of information will come to us. And I'm going to suggest, if no one objects, that this topic is brought back to us in a shortened form, just for us to discuss with you and make a vote on it at our next board meeting, and that you give us lots of information that we need that we can use for discussion at the next board meeting in our communiques. Does that seem fair to everybody? Okay, and I know that our parents are really interested in these two topics, because I've gotten a few emails about these two topics. They were very popular topics on our agenda, and I want to commend our district leaders for looking forward and continuing. And last of all, when students graduate from junior high, they wear those clunky medals and they wear collared colors, and so they maybe cannot get a legitimate certificate, but they can get a mark after their name saying that they completed dual language immersion and maybe get a Clinky or get a color to wear or something that makes them feel proud and distinguished. And so I am sure that schools can come up with better ideas than me, but that was, okay? They like to clink them. And then years later, you find them that they save them in their drawers. And when you give them to them, their spouses say, whoa, you ran that fast in kindergarten? So it's great. It's really good. Thank you
very much.
Trustee Sugarman, I just had a couple more questions. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So if we were to vote, for example, at the next meeting for adding Korean as a dual language academy expansion, what would the timeline be for the first class? And would the first class be TK or kindergarten, or do we not know yet?
We haven't decided that yet, but it would be, typically the way that we roll out most of our programs, we do need some time to plan. And we want to make sure we look at the research, best practices, get the staffing, the curriculum. So the earliest that we could open would be the 22-23 school year. So it'd still be, we'd have about a year to plan.
And then what about, aren't our K through 8s our most impacted campuses typically? Mm-hmm. So would we be looking at housing this program at maybe some more creative sites? Or would it be clustered mostly in Northwest Fullerton or North Fullerton, or would we be open to moving a program around, since it would likely draw students from not just Fullerton? I guess I'm thinking about the way that Raymond was, saw an increase in population after the addition of this program. Is that something that we would be looking at as well?
Absolutely. We would definitely be looking at a variety of different locations and taking many things into consideration. And the Multilingual Task Force will continue to meet and have these conversations. And really, we really do invite anybody to attend and give their feedback.
And just because there is not one school right now that's slated for this, and really do, if we have schools that are interested, we need some parents, we're open to that. So there's not a single site in mind.
Thank you, and I'm sure that the principals of our schools are happy to hear that. Thank you very much. We're going to move on now to just for action items. Is there another way they can link in?
At this
Like
moment,
They
by
can phone call, right? They call in.
they can try doing the phone call, but we should with our,
Oh,
it's back up. Great news.
Thank you.
Thank you. Boom.
We're
Done.
sorry about that to the public. And in the future, when that happens, let's put out a phone call right away, a phone number. That's not to be mean, but just something to think about.
I don't know if I have a question, but I do have a comment. Should I say
Sure.
right now? I am speaking, I'm sure, on behalf of all of us, but we can all talk about it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything that you guys have done. I know that this has been a challenging time for you, and to see how hard our assistant soups, as well as everyone else in our district, but our assistant soups put in the time, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears to do what's right for our kids. And you're not always going to make people happy, and I know you want to make everybody happy all the time because that's what's in your heart. And I know that it's hard for you not to, but you also have to look at what's best for our kids and what's best for them. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate that. And 9 days carrying over, I know that you guys work even when you're on vacation. I don't think that there's ever a time when we've called and you guys haven't called back, even during the summer when you're off, with some scheduled time off. So I want to say that how much I appreciate what you guys do day in and day out for our kids and for our community. So thank you all.
Does anyone else want to ask a question or make a comment?
Well, I'll speak for all of us. I think we all are thinking the same thing, and we all appreciate everything that you've done. So, ditto, ditto, ditto.
What we want to do is say thank you from the board. Thank you for your creativity with going into a classroom and saying, oh, those kids need headsets. Boom, we're ordering them. Thank you for not letting anything limit you. Thank you for hiring staff and hiring staff and hiring staff and hiring staff. Thank you for fixing the curriculum in ways that are plausible to go forward in trying times. And thank you for your leadership. Thank you from all of us. Do I want to get a motion for this? Bev's going to move first.
I guess I should turn it on.
Amendment.
Unmute yourself, is that what you're trying to tell me?
Amendment.
I move that we approve the amendments for the assistant superintendent's contracts.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Just love. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With pleasure. Now we have a similar item for our superintendent. Would you like to explain that?
Yeah, there are no new additions to my contract. There's no additional compensation. There is no additional language changes except before the board extending the contract to the superintendent. I hope so. That's all that I have.
For the people listening at home, for those listening at home, our superintendent has a contract that at the end of every year, we extended a year, so it's always 3 years in place. So that if we ever don't extend it, he is aware he probably needs to find another job. And this board doesn't want that to ever happen. And we hope that those listening at home now have a good understanding of these two items on our agenda, why they are here, and why we are happy for the people we have in place. And we hope that you stood up with us at home to applaud all these great people. Do I have further discussion on this item?
I'm going to start again.
Go ahead.
I
Can't say it enough, huh?
can't say it enough. And to validate the fact that, who was that he got the
Orange County Magazine.
Orange County Magazine identified you as a top superintendent as well. In our journeys as school board members, in my journey with PTA, I hear a lot of stories about schools. I hear a lot of stories about superintendents. And I have to tell you that for those that have never had other experiences outside of here, because a lot of people don't, they don't realize how lucky we are to have you in our school district. Again, you're not always going to make everyone happy, and we can't. None of us up here can either. But for the heart that you have for our kids and for our community, I applaud you, and I wholeheartedly support this.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that wholehearted emotion? Motion.
That
A motion.
An emotion motion. And further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay. Next, and there was more, Dr. Hammond.
Yes, this next item is for approval of memorandums of understanding with the California School Employees Association. There are two memorandums of understanding, one that provided our classified employees who returned right after the winter break with stipends to work in person in our schools and in our district facilities to keep our schools open and running. And the second MOU is providing our classified employees with an early notification retirement incentive if they notify the district prior to the end of March that they'll be retiring prior to the end of the 2020-2021 school year.
Thank you. I do want you to mention to the public that we have an agreement about retirement with our Teachers Association.
Yes, we do. And we also have that agreement with our teachers for retirement incentive, and we have extended that as well to our classified employees.
Thank you. Do we have some questions for Dr. Hammett? Does anyone want to make any comments?
Okay, so here I go again. The comments this evening from CSEA were right on. I think that they have come over and beyond and have
Yes.
really shown their heart throughout this whole COVID pandemic. We appreciate them as much as we appreciate everyone, but again, it's that extra that we do here in this school district that you don't hear a lot about. And I want to scream a lot of what we do from the rooftops, because I do believe that what we do here is not something that happens everywhere else. And again, they've done just a fabulous job. I want to say, can I retire too? Me too? Can I get a me too on that retirement? But so I will move that we approve the amendments. Oh, hold on. That we ratify and approve the memorandum of understanding between the Fullerton School District and CSEA, Chapter 130, pursuant to the work stipends and the early retirement incentive.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Further comment or questions? I would like to make a comment. I can't underscore what Deb has said enough. Our CSEA workers have given their heart and really stepped out of their comfort level area to support our children and families, and they're just awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 5-0. Thank you, Dr. Hammett.
President Sugarman,
Yes.
we would like to clarify the board's decision on discussion items A as it relates to the Spanish dual language immersion and also the Korean language.
We would like you to give us communiques between now and our next school board meeting, answering questions that were presented here or other issues you think we need to know, so that you can bring the topic back and we will have background information. We will have the opportunity to talk with you before our board meeting, and then we can have a common discussion with common knowledge on the two topics, and possibly be able to vote at the board meeting, because we understand the concerns of our public wanting to have clarification. Does that do it?
That makes sense, and we will be bringing current item A and B back for discussion and possible approval at our next board meeting on March 9th. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, and feel free to write us as much as you want, and I want my board to know, I know you don't hold back. You're new. Never hold back. Write to them as much as you want and ask questions, because when you ask a question, we all get the answer, and that is how we make good decisions, and that way we get to think about it instead of just hearing it here at the table. So, thank you, everybody. And if our parents have some questions that they are concerned and they're listening, please write to board members, and we will pass those questions on for you because we represent you. Okay? So, public, if you're listening, send us your questions and we will get clarification. Thank you. Is there anyone who has a request for a future board item? I do want one thing. At our next board meeting, could you please, Dr. Lee, explain to our parents what you are doing with Asian and Pacific Islander Week? And we'd love to hear about it because we have many cultures in our district. Thank you.
I had a couple of things that I wanted to ask. One was just piggybacking on a public comment that was made tonight regarding the students in a classroom with 5-day and hybrid. Maybe clarifying that out loud on why that is, and just maybe an update for us on where we are with that. because I think that the numbers are different from what they were at the beginning and how they are now. And I do understand cohorts, and just if you can give us an update on that. And it doesn't need to be at a meeting, but it could be. The next thing is probably something that you guys are already going to be presenting, because the year is coming to a close, which is crazy. I want to hear about how we are addressing learning loss and what our plan could be. And I know that it could be contingent upon what the governor comes back with as far as funding, but for summer school and for and I know what we did last year, how are we going to build on that? What are our plans? If in a perfect world and we get funded, as maybe the governor might do, where do we see that going? And if not, then where do we see that? I would like to see. That's what I figured. I figured you guys are already on this, but I would like to make sure our public will be in on knowing when that is too. So that's very interesting to people. Thank you.
Would you like to make a comment?
No, I was coming to bring the microphone to anybody else who wanted to talk, but he stopped, so I couldn't be backing up.
Why don't you just give him a lapel thing?
Yeah. Anybody else have anything that they'd like brought back to us? Seeing nothing else, I want the public to know you can enjoy another wonderful night with your board members on wait a minute, that's not, March 9th at 6 o'clock on March 9th. We will be here again to do the business of the board. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for joining us. To read the book club.